once again has been caught being even dumber than we thought. Watch as she claims blacks in America have it worse than women in Iran. Roll it, Phyllis.
Let's just remember, too, the Iranians literally throw gay people off of buildings. They don't adhere to basic human rights.
Listen, here's the thing. Let's not do that, because if we start with that, we have been known in this country to tie gay folks to the car.
Where the Iranian regime is 2 days, 2025, is nothing compared to United.
They thought it would be just another segment on The View. A typical round table, some laughs, some outrage, and then on to the next headline. But what happened when Greg Gutfeld and Tyrus stepped onto that stage wasn't just unexpected, it was explosive. Within minutes, tension cut through the air like a knife. Whoopi Goldberg, blindsided. Sunny Hostin, furious. And viewers, they couldn't believe what they were watching. It was raw, unfiltered, and for some, the moment The View finally got exposed. But how did things go off the rails so fast? And what did Gutfeld say that left Whoopi completely stunned on live TV? It started off like any other high-profile guest segment. Greg Gutfeld, host of Gutfeld, and Tyrus, his longtime co-host and outspoken commentator, were invited to The View in what was framed as a cross-network conversation. On paper, it looked like a bold attempt at bridging the political divide. ABC marketed the appearance as a moment of productive dialogue between opposing sides. But what the producers likely didn't anticipate was how quickly that dialogue would go up in flames. From the moment Gutfeld and Tyrus sat down, there was an almost visible tension. Joy Behar gave her signature sarcastic smile. Whoopi stayed quiet at first, and Sunny Hostin jumped in early with a loaded question about dangerous rhetoric on right-wing media. It wasn't just a discussion anymore. It was a setup. Gutfeld knew it, Tyrus knew it, and they weren't about to play nice. This wasn't their first rodeo. Both men have made careers out of calling out what they see as hypocrisy in mainstream media. But facing off against The View, in front of a live audience known for cheering its hosts and booing dissent, that was a different battlefield entirely. Still, Gutfeld leaned in with that trademark smirk, almost daring them to try and shut him down. What the audience didn't realize at that moment was this: they weren't about to witness a polite exchange of ideas. They were seconds away from a verbal takedown that would have The View's panel visibly shaken, especially Whoopi. And it all started with just one sentence. Right as Sunny Hostin pressed her accusation about amplifying dangerous voices, Gutfeld didn't flinch. He tilted his head slightly, gave a half smile, and fired back with a line that immediately went viral. Dangerous rhetoric? You work for a network that literally cheers censorship. Are we really going there? The air left the room. Hostin's confident posture cracked just slightly, while Whoopi leaned back in her chair, eyes narrowing. The audience murmured, unsure whether to clap, gasp, or wait for a commercial break. But Gutfeld wasn't done. He continued, pointing out how media platforms like ABC selectively apply outrage, how speech is only called dangerous when it threatens the preferred narrative. He called it what he saw as ideological filtering, where someone like him gets labeled divisive for asking questions, while the panel of The View gets praised for pushing opinions that toe the network line. He even joked, I could say the same thing on Fox and get demonized. Say it here, and it's somehow hate speech? It wasn't just what he said, it was how he said it. Calm, confident, with a grin that made it clear he came prepared. And while the hosts tried to pivot, the damage was done. Gutfeld had turned the spotlight right back onto them and made them the story. But if they thought that was the worst of it, they hadn't heard from Tyrus yet. Just as the room began to settle from Gutfeld's verbal body shot, Tyrus leaned forward, arms crossed, eyes locked on Sunny Hostin. No smile, no warm-up. Just a quiet, deliberate question that hit harder than anyone expected. How do you talk about oppression while wearing a $10,000 watch and a Chanel blazer? Hostin froze for a split second. Even Whoopi looked stunned. Tyrus didn't raise his voice. He didn't insult. But the question said everything, and it struck a nerve. He went on, pointing out how so many high-profile voices on The View present themselves as speaking for the oppressed, while living lives most Americans could never relate to. He talked about growing up in poverty, scraping through life on his own terms, and how he gets painted as the wrong kind of black man because he doesn't fit the media's mold. You don't get to lecture people about struggle from a studio that costs more than most folks' homes, he added. The audience was dead quiet. Even the producers didn't seem to know what to do. Cut to commercial or let it ride? Hostin tried to respond, but her voice cracked. She started with, "That's not fair." But Tyrus cut in, calm but firm. "Neither is pretending you're a victim when you're cashing 7-figure checks to sit at this table." At that moment, the segment had completely flipped. This wasn't a guest being grilled by the hosts. It was a takedown in broad daylight, and nobody saw it coming. And while the cameras were still rolling, Whoopi's reaction said it all. By the time Tyrus finished, the energy in the room had completely shifted. The applause lights stayed dark. The audience, usually quick to rally behind the hosts, didn't know how to respond. Even Joy Behar, normally quick with a quip, stayed silent. But all eyes were on Whoopi Goldberg. She'd been unusually quiet throughout the segment, watching, listening, trying to stay composed. But something about Tyrus's words, maybe the bluntness, maybe the truth behind them, seemed to rattle her. When she finally spoke, it wasn't with her usual commanding tone. Instead, she looked straight at the camera and said, This isn't what we do here." That's when it hit. This wasn't just another heated exchange. Something had genuinely broken through the surface. A rare moment where the usual control, the script, the pacing, the protection the hosts usually enjoy, had slipped. And Whoopi knew it. Moments later, during a commercial break, insiders say Goldberg walked off set, not storming out, but shaken. According to behind-the-scenes leaks, producers tried to coax her back, but she reportedly refused to finish the next segment until the tone was reset. That same week, ABC insiders hinted at a temporary suspension, not public, but unofficial, a brief cooling-off period to help restore balance on the show. It wasn't confirmed on air, but viewers noticed her absence. Speculation exploded online. Was Whoopi breaking down? Was the show losing control? Or had Gutfeld and Tyrus just exposed something the audience wasn't supposed to see? Whatever the truth, one thing was clear. This wasn't just another segment gone sideways. It was a breaking point, and the internet wasted no time reacting. As soon as the episode aired, clips of the confrontation started flooding the internet. Within minutes, hashtags like Gutfeld versus The View, hashtag Tyrus Unfiltered, and hashtag The View Exposed were trending across Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube. What started as a tense segment on daytime TV had now turned into a digital explosion, and people couldn't stop talking about it. Conservative voices praised the moment as a long overdue reckoning. Commentators from right-leaning platforms called it one of the most honest moments ever caught on daytime television. Memes popped up instantly, side-by-side photos of Sunny Hostin's luxury outfit next to Tyrus's quote about hypocrisy. One tweet racked up 500,000 views in an hour, simply reading, "Tyrus didn't raise his voice, he raised the bar." And The View couldn't handle it. Even viewers who didn't usually watch The View started tuning in just to see what the fuss was about. Re-uploads of the segment went viral on YouTube, some hitting millions of views in under 48 hours. Meanwhile, left-leaning fans of the show were more divided. Some defended the hosts, saying they were ambushed. Others admitted it was the first time The View had been forced to reckon with criticism face-to-face, without the usual editing or spin. The viral nature of the moment gave Gutfeld and Tyrus a new kind of attention. Overnight, their appearance wasn't just a guest spot. It became a cultural flashpoint. The lines were drawn, and the question now wasn't just about what happened on air, but what it revealed about the media itself. Because once you pull back the curtain, you can't unsee what's behind it. What made this moment so powerful wasn't just the confrontation, it was what it exposed. For years, shows like The View have operated within a carefully crafted framework. Hosts speak from a place of moral authority. Guests are either aligned or politely challenged, and anything too controversial is edited down or brushed aside with humor. But Gutfeld and Tyrus didn't play by those rules, and that's exactly why it hit so hard. They walked into enemy territory and refused to fold. They called out the double standards, the scripted outrage, and the curated empathy. And for a few raw minutes, the gloss came off. Suddenly, viewers were seeing something unfiltered, something real. This moment didn't just spark debate. It reignited a conversation about media bias, about how mainstream platforms often pretend to offer balanced discussion while carefully controlling the narrative. The viral response showed how hungry audiences are for pushback, real pushback, not just scripted debate where everyone already knows their role. And this wasn't just about The View. It was about something much bigger, about why so many Americans feel like they're being talked at instead of with, why trust in legacy media is at an all-time low, why voices that challenge the mainstream, whether you agree with them or not, are gaining traction like never before. In the end, Gutfeld and Tyrus didn't just argue, they shattered the illusion. And for a moment, Even the most polished network on daytime TV couldn't put it back together fast enough. But the question now is, where do they go from here? In the days following the broadcast, ABC scrambled to regain control. Officially, there was no comment about the confrontation, but the signs were everywhere. Clips of the segment began disappearing from The View's official channels. Comments were limited, reposts were quietly flagged, and insiders reported internal conversations about tightening guest protocols going forward. But the damage had already been done. Gutfeld's team capitalized on the moment. They aired extended commentary on Gutfeld that same week, pulling no punches. Tyrus doubled down too, telling his own story on other outlets, saying, "I didn't go there to fight, I went there to tell the truth." If that hurts feelings, maybe those feelings needed to be hurt. And that line in particular exploded online. Meanwhile, Whoopi's absence from several live segments didn't go unnoticed. Rumors swirled about internal tension among the hosts. Some even speculated that ABC executives had strongly advised a tone down in future shows. Whether that's true or not, one thing was clear. The View was rattled, and the internet wasn't letting go. Because this wasn't just a media moment, it was a power shift. A reminder that in today's world, a single unscripted moment can do what years of controlled messaging can't. Pull the mask off and show people exactly what's been hiding underneath. In the end, Greg Gutfeld and Tyrus didn't just challenge The View. They revealed how fragile the media's carefully managed image really is. All it took was a few unfiltered moments. No yelling, no theatrics. Just bold truth delivered with confidence. And it left one of the most powerful shows on daytime television scrambling to recover. Because when people see something real, truly real, they remember it, they share it, they start asking questions. And sometimes, the most dangerous thing you can do on live TV is tell the truth.